Story 1. Disregarding traffic rules to be nice is unwise. Stopping suddenly in the middle of the road to let someone make a left turn across 3 lanes is dangerous. Story 2. Sometimes at work, I have to back a large van out of a driveway onto a busy street. Complete strangers will stop to help me back up. It's a nice gesture, but now I need to avoid the traffic, pedestrians, the gate, and the person standing immediately behind the van making hand gestures. Story 3. I remember being criticized by friends and acquaintances for stating how foolish the Coney 2012 campaign was. Story 4. Thermostats in many buildings and offices often rely on a central unit or boiler room set to one temperature. The individual thermostats do not actually adjust the air conditioning or heating in each room. This setup creates the illusion of control over room temperature and helps prevent complaints about discomfort in offices or rooms being too hot or too cold. Story 5. Stopping in the middle of the road, where we have the right of way, to let someone turn out of a side street while having a line of cars behind you. Story 6. Lowering the tailgate of your truck while driving on the freeway for better aerodynamics is a myth that has been debunked. Story 7. Letting me go in traffic when you have the right of way is appreciated, but the township paid a lot of money for an engineer to determine that you should go first. Story 8. Worrying does not help anything. Just stop worrying. I was choosing to worry. Why didn't I think of simply not doing it? Story 9. Walking up behind someone who is using a manual wheelchair and starting to push them without asking first. Story 10. Fixing children's problems and not letting them struggle or feel uncomfortable is important. While not to the point of abuse, many parents tend to be too quick to intervene to make everything better, which can ultimately harm the child in the long run. Story 11. Holding doors open when you're still far from the door is unnecessary. Now I have to jog when I was perfectly fine opening the door or waiting for the elevator. Story 12. People who say, "Look it up," in the middle of an argument and then call you lazy for not doing so are frustrating. I am not going to do your work for you. Prove me wrong yourself. Story 13. Complaining to corporate minimum wage retail employees with the belief that they will take action or inform someone in charge often leads to disappointment. Even informing a manager has an uncertain outcome, as there is only a 50% chance they will remember the issue an hour later, let alone take action. Story 14. Birth stories told to pregnant women. I was in labor for 2 days and finally had an epidural, but it only worked halfway across my body, so I fainted from the pain. Additionally, breastfeeding advice for nursing mothers. If you just relax, she will latch. Story 15. Explaining to someone who smokes that smoking is harmful and how they can quit. We already understand the risks. Story 16. I think many people believe that cannabis is a miraculous plant that can heal various issues. However, the reality is that it is a drug just like anything else. Yes, it is relatively safe compared to other substances, including psychoactive pharmaceuticals. However, it is not without risks. I began using cannabis at the age of 14. Since then, I have experienced significant psychological issues including short-term memory loss, cognitive decline, impaired executive functioning, a new anxiety disorder, worsened obsessive-compulsive disorder, and perhaps the onset of schizophrenia. My brain will never feel the same again. Would I be in a different place had I started using cannabis after my brain finished developing? Probably. But I didn't. Regardless, these issues can arise in anyone regardless of age. Cannabis has been life-changing for many people, but it is important to remember that it is not without its consequences. It can disrupt some individuals' lives significantly. Some people rely on it just to get through the day. Depending on a substance to manage your daily life, regardless of its perceived safety, is a substantial issue. Story 17. Taking vitamins as a daily routine is believed to boost health. However, for most people without deficiencies, vitamins provide no benefits and can even be harmful. Story 18. When people do something because they want others to like them and think good things about them. For example, my mother wanted a dog. She desired a smaller dog than what she had before. I offered to accompany her. My sister, however, spoke to her a few times as if she wanted to help. In reality, it was more manipulation. Since my mother was accustomed to being frugal, even though she no longer had to be, My sister suggested she could help her get a dog cheaply. This was apparently because some dogs are sponsored. I encouraged her to get the dog she wanted, but the argument about cost was too powerful to overcome. A brother had done something similar in the past regarding a car. The car had problems, but my friend claimed he could fix it cheaply. In any case, she went with my sister and returned with a dog that was too large. This made things more difficult for her if she wanted to travel or simply walk the dog or pick him up. Turned out the dog had issues as well. He flinched as if he was going to be hit, was food aggressive, and would not let me clip his nails. My mother always asks for my help when she takes the dog to the veterinarian. The dog needs assistance getting into the vehicle and does not like being picked up. My sister never helps with the situation she created, even after I informed her of all the problems. I end up taking care of the dog a lot. She never does. I told my mother the first week to return the dog, but she felt guilty about that. This is not the first time she has helped create a situation she has nothing to do with afterward. The reality is that people can be insincere. Sometimes you can believe someone is genuinely nice, but it is just an act. Story 19. Unsolicited advice, particularly medical advice, directed at chronically ill or disabled people is often frustrating. Suggesting that I should try yoga or sharing a strange multi-level marketing smoothie that someone knows isn't going to cure my genetic neuromuscular disorder. These remedies are ineffective most of the time, and I don't think most able-bodied people understand how often complete strangers feel entitled to offer unsolicited advice. I recognize that many of these suggestions come from a genuine desire to help, but they are exhausting and often unhelpful. Story 20. Essential oils for medical conditions. My mother-in-law often advises me to apply oils to my feet before bed to help remove toxins. She believed it would alleviate my kidney disease. Story 21. Some people keep their laptops on their laps thinking it is harmless, but it can actually lead to skin burns and discomfort. Story 22. Unsolicited advice. I temporarily moved in with my parents while going through a divorce, and I didn't realize how much they struggled to let someone express a negative emotion without responding with advice. They are also not prepared for my newfound adult inability to tolerate this. Yeah, she just filed an order of temporary support for an unknown amount of money, and she's not responding to emails. If this doesn't go well, I might not be able to afford an apartment after the sale of our house. You've just got to take it one day at a time. I was trying to manage 6 days at once. Thanks for that. I've started saying, repeat after me. That really sucks. That really sucks. Thanks, Dad. I appreciate the support. How are you doing? Has been working a lot better. Story 23. My parents often provide vague responses. For example, I've been really stressed lately. It's taking a toll on my mental health. I have no free time due to work and somehow still have no money. I'm starting to feel like life isn't worth living, but I don't have the time or funds to seek help. My parents, well, it sounds like you really need to do something about that. Then they walk away as if they've given me profound advice. This is just an example. I'm not depressed. Story 24. My wife and I have been staying 2 hours from home in the neonatal intensive care unit with our premature son for almost 6 weeks. While this is true for other areas of life, it has really been getting under our skin lately. My family has texted a couple of times saying they are praying for us and to hang in there. However, prayers and words do not walk the dog, help with laundry, feed us, or visit to lift morale. Prayers do nothing tangible to actually support us. They are an excuse for not providing real help. Story 25. Telling people who are depressed that life will get better or that there is light at the end of the tunnel is unhelpful. I'm glad you have a positive outlook on the future, but it doesn't seem that way for those of us living it every day. Story 26. People who drive the speed limit in the left lane believe they are slowing down those who are driving too fast. Unfortunately, this causes them to zigzag through traffic, which is 10 times more dangerous than simply going fast in the left lane. Story 27. Donating to PETA does not align with effective animal welfare. Instead, consider contributing to your local animal shelter to make a positive impact on animal lives. Story 28. Let me know if you need anything. Just take the meal, send the meal, or come to babysit. When my brother passed away from COVID-19 in 2021, my true friends simply showed up and supported me. Most of the time, people do not ask for help. Story 29. Telling me to go to therapy is not as simple as picking one from a tree. I have to pay just to consider my options. I know people mean well, but it seems they expect me to find a therapist and be completely better after one visit. Sometimes it feels dismissive. Story 30. Social media is often perceived as a means to connect with friends and family. However, it can actually distance us from those physically present. Additionally, people can choose to block you, which can further deepen that separation. Story 31. The United States public mental health care system and punitive correctional facilities lack devoted, personalized therapy. Without it, psychiatric patients cannot be understood or truly healed, and we cannot fully comprehend a prisoner's intentions, motivations, or whether they are aware that their actions are harmful. Story 32. Rescuing baby animals requires caution. Usually, the mother is out foraging for food and has hidden the babies nearby. Leave them alone unless there is immediate danger, they are injured, or you find a baby bird that has fallen from its nest. If you encounter raccoons, place a laundry hamper over them for safety, as the mother can remove it. Check on the babies every few hours with a final check 1 hour after sunset. If there is still no sign of their mother, it is acceptable to rescue them. Take them directly to a rescue center where they can receive proper care. Additionally, never give very young kittens milk, tuna water, or any unsuitable alternatives. They cannot digest these and may become ill. Instead, purchase kitten formula from a pet store. If the store is not open yet, provide the baby with plenty of water to keep it hydrated until morning when you can get to the pet store. Story 33. I receive many emails from alumni requesting donations. No thanks. I am still paying for the expenses I incurred before I began receiving those emails. Story 34. When someone offers generic advice like, just cheer up, or don't worry about it to a person struggling with mental health issues such as depression or anxiety, the intention might be to provide support. However, these phrases oversimplify complex issues and can make the person feel invalidated or misunderstood. In reality, addressing mental health concerns often requires professional help, empathy, and understanding from loved ones. Simply telling someone to cheer up does not address the underlying issues and may even exacerbate feelings of guilt or inadequacy. Story 35. From a personal perspective, it's people trying to give me advice on my disability. It's been 30 years and described by my neurosurgeon as quite complex, so no, a couple of trips to a chiropractor is not going to miraculously fix it. People tend to treat me as a problem that needs fixing and make me feel like I'm not doing enough to get better. It is incredibly frustrating to cope with it daily as I am constantly in pain. Then someone comes out with a bit of advice, and it takes a lot of effort not to react negatively. I am having a difficult time at the moment, and I can't talk to anyone because it always ends up with them trying to give me this kind of advice despite my repeated explanations that it is counterproductive. Sometimes, I just need a shoulder to cry on. Story 36. People say, go to the gym when you are depressed. I can't even get out of bed or motivate myself to eat, so I won't be able to do something I hate. Story 37. People tell me to get a planner or just do it when I'm stuck in ADHD task paralysis mode. Story 38. Guilt-tripping people on social media because they are not paying attention or are complicit in the horrors occurring in the rest of the world does not gain support. Instead, it only furthers the divide and makes people angrier. Story 39. Blocking traffic on busy roads in protest is a dedicated effort, but it can have serious consequences. People have died on their way to the hospital due to these protests, and others have been born in traffic as a result. All this does is create animosity toward you and your cause. Additionally, in some areas, service vehicles can legally bypass the protests, putting everyone at risk. Story 40. People can be too nosy and personal regarding a woman not having children. When you tell them that you are unable to conceive after years of fertility treatments, the very next thing they say is, why don't you adopt or foster? To me, that's insulting because it implies that I'm not intelligent enough to have considered that option. Of course, I've looked into it. It can be more expensive than some fertility treatments, and the legal complexities and documentation involved are extensive and costly. This is why some celebrities choose to adopt from other countries. Do I think they are coming from a good place? Yes. But I dislike having discussions about it. Leave women alone if they do not have children. It is none of your business. Either they made the choice not to have children or they cannot have them. Those are the only two options, so accept one, internalize it, and move on. Stop asking such personal questions and giving unsolicited advice. Story 41. Trickle-down economics is a theory that suggests cutting taxes, increasing spending, and creating government debt provide no benefits. Story 42. Telling someone going through a difficult time that it's not that bad or that they shouldn't worry or should cheer up may not be helpful. Sometimes people just want to go through what they are experiencing. They don't want to be shown a quicker way out of it. As Parks and Recreation pointed out, sometimes all someone wants to hear is, "That sucks." Story 43. Tell people that there are bigger things than the situation they are in. While this can be valid in some cases, when you are genuinely upset about something, it feels dismissive when someone tells you that your feelings are not important because someone has it worse. Story 44. I remember reversing a trailer once, and a person started guiding me, but they made up the hand signals on the spot. Story 45. Do not save players in the game of Monopoly. The game becomes frustrating when you choose to prolong it unnecessarily. If a decision in a game does not contribute to your victory, then do not pursue it as it only prolongs the game. Story 46. Unsolicited advice. Just because you believe the advice you give someone will make a difference in their lives doesn't mean it will. Do not impose advice on others and get upset when they do not appreciate it or simply ignore you. Story 47. Talking very slowly so that I can understand you. No matter how slow you talk, I still can't hear. I can't read lips. I appreciate that you want me to understand, but it's quicker to just write it down. I carry a notepad and pen in my purse just for this. Story 48. When my coworkers try to help me with the planograms while I'm already halfway done, I ask them not to touch anything because it will disrupt my process and we will both be confused. Story 49. This is somewhat specific, but I am a line cook. If I am overwhelmed, please stay out of my way. You think you are helping, but you are just slowing me down. Story 50. Pay it forward at Starbucks or leave a quarter in the cart at Aldi. It's virtue signaling. Nobody is really helped by it. If someone didn't have the money to pay for their food, they wouldn't have gotten in line. Story 51. I will pray for you. It is a nice sentiment but offers no assistance. However, I suppose it makes them feel better after expressing it. Story 52. Have you tried this when I discuss a chronic issue I've had for a while? Yes, your question makes me feel ashamed that I haven't done this obvious thing. Story 53. When people pay attention to me whenever I cry, I know they want to help by being there. However, it makes me more insecure as I try to figure out my own issues. Story 54. Holding the door open for someone who is 25 feet away from the door lets heat or cool air escape from the building and makes the person walking toward the door feel rushed. Story 55. Trying to give you a hug or a pat on the shoulder when you are having a meltdown is not helpful. My nerves are shot, so please do not touch me or talk to me. Story 56. Unregulated supplements are sold on television and online. It is a multi-million-dollar industry with no proven results. Taking a pill won't solve your problem. Buyers should be cautious and not be gullible. Story 57. Parents who try to shame their kids when they fail, thinking it will motivate them, end up backfiring horribly. Story 58. When people start pushing my bike, I am a small girl on a big bike already on my tiptoes. When a man approaches, they often help me by pushing my bike out of a parking spot, not realizing that a small push in the wrong direction could make both me and the bike fall over. So please, do not assume I need help or touch my bike without permission, because I will shout at you. Story 59. Telling chronically ill people about new medications, treatments, herbs, spices, unconventional remedies, or bizarre practices will not cure their condition. Trust us, we know what is out there, and we are not uninformed. A shot of yogurt with a teaspoon of cinnamon in the morning does not cure lupus. I'm sorry, but it doesn't. That was one suggestion I recently received from someone online who believed they knew better than my team of 7 specialists. Story 60. I am an American who has lived in Japan for 17 years, and this kind of thing happens to me often. I speak Japanese, so whenever I need to ask a random Japanese person a question, such as for directions, I ask in Japanese, "Excuse me, do you know where the train station is?" Then the Japanese person looks up and sees that I am white and panics. Even though I ask them a question in Japanese, they sometimes freak out and their minds race about how to reply in English, automatically assuming that I don't understand Japanese. They may respond with something like, "Ah, you, straight, left turn, happy face, McDonald's, America, train station." It's nice of them to try to speak my language to help me, but their answers make no sense and don't assist me at all. If I ask the question in Japanese, please respond in Japanese so that I can find out how to get to the train station. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.